It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. That's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. We are in a weird period in the college football calendar, right in between everything and all the action. It feels, how do I want to say this? It feels kind of empty. It's just weird. There's, excuse me, there's questions with no answers. You're waiting for stuff to happen. You're waiting for news. You're off the come down of last year, which was really good, but ended bad. But you're not into spring ball yet. And like everybody's not geared up for it. I really feel like, man, the energy's just bottomed out. Everybody was all in for so long for this playoff ride. And I am just feeling people are just kind of burnt out, laying low. And then when we get back into spring ball, when we really get back into spring ball, it'll ramp back up. But you're in a weird little dead zone here in the calendar. And it's just kind of like uncomfortable in a way. You just want to get to the next thing. Like getting to spring will be a palate cleanser coming off the way the year ended. And I just feel like everybody will buy back in and look forward to getting to the next thing after the bad taste left in our mouth from Ohio State. And the other thing is with this spring ball stuff, I want this program to have an edge in spring ball. I want them to have a chip on their shoulder. They are pissed off that the year ended the way it did. And like, it would be really nice to feel that energy in spring ball. The Dr. John, thanks for stopping by. The energy of like, we're pissed off about the way it ended and it ain't going to happen, next time and whatever. It would be good. I would like to feel that energy. And then, your spring storylines are going to hit quarterback first and foremost. What's going on with the Ash defense? Like there's going to be a lot of that. So we could take it wherever you guys want to take it. We can, you want to talk about spring ball? You want to talk about Ash? You want to talk about the GM thing? Still no news on that. Like we'll get into that part of this. I don't know. Commander says, John, they're playing against their own teammates. They're not teeing off on any of these because it doesn't have to manifest. You can run stuff intensely and have a little edge to you without hurting your own teammates. Like that's more of like a vibe thing that I want to experience rather than like, I'm going to measure it in you taking out your teammate. I don't know, like a crispness to the way you're doing the day-to-day stuff in spring is kind of what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. So I don't know. So whatever you guys want to do, 312-988-15, probably be an abbreviated show today. I got some travel to do later on today and a bunch of stuff messing up my schedule. It is what it is. It's the off season. It's time to do that kind of stuff if you need to. So we could go wherever you want. 312-988-15. Dial it up. Tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. The dong. $5 olive from the dong. Can you hit the fast forward on your click remote? I want the season to start. I hate the off season. It's going to be, I don't know, man. It's just going to be a long off season. We got to get to spring and then we get through spring And then the real dog days settle in. And then I know, Adam, that I'm hoping I got to go south. I'm hoping that'll help me a couple hours south. So I'm just hoping I could miss some of that and it won't be that bad. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Kent Jackson, well, it's a big show. It's just funny because I'm like not big and I think of Paul White and he's quite large. He's quite large, so I don't know. Oh, boy. Yeah, Southern Illinois is like a different country. You just keep driving and everything looks the same, man. Oh, there's another field. There's another field. Oh, look over here. There's another field. It's just... It's interesting. As always, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irishing. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only. Anywhere you want it, you could get it. Cullen lines. 31, you know what it is. 312-900-8815. Dial it up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by SI. Read all about it. We got something for you every day. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Former captain Mike Goolsby letting it rip behind the paywall there. We do a good job. Coach Jared Clark as well. Thanks to everybody that's over there. How many times will John say dog days of summer before July? I'm telling you, you get past blue and gold, it's just the death zone, man. You beg for a little recruiting news in like June, like May and June. And then I always talk about 4th of July is the light at the end of the tunnel. If you could get past 4th of July, you're a few weeks and then you're into camp. It's going to get intense when you have Miami to start. It's going to get intense. When you go down to Miami to start this year, man, that is a big, big deal. And so in the way A&M was built up into a big deal last year, oh, man, this is going to be a big one. And so and Notre Dame's got a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts, things to figure out. Yeah, I like this. John, can you help me with the recruiting event idea? I want to get Bon Jovi's yacht in the lake and have a recruiting event on it. How about Bon Jovi's yacht on the lake with him playing music, and then and Shane Gillis just does some stand up, and he does his thing. Like, I don't know, man. It's just Commander says I'm feeling uneasy about all of it. I feel uneasy about everything all the time. Like, what do you mean? If there's some anxiety to be added to Notre Dame land, I have it. Oh, man. It's going to be a long summer. Steven says, no Bon Jovi. He sucks. I don't love his music either, but he's got a lot of money. He likes to donate to Notre Dame. Like, I'm not listening to Bon Jovi either, but I miss that era, man. Like when he was popular, I don't love the music from that time. Wasn't it like late 80s, early 90s or something? And like, I missed all that. But if he wants to donate a bunch of money to Notre Dame and be on his yacht, then that's fine. That's fine. I don't know. Doesn't Bon Jovi do Living on a Prayer? Isn't that Bon Jovi, one of the most overplayed songs I've ever heard in my life? Like, come on, man. It's so cliche. I just can't do it. It's not for me, man. Isn't that him? Am I wrong? Doesn't he do that? I don't know. It's just not my kind of music. A little corny. I don't know. Whatever. What do I know? All right. Let's do a couple of these chats. We got a couple phone calls. Anybody want to load up? 312-900-8815. Let me know the whole hairband thing. I just don't connect with any of that, like late 80s, early 90s hair bang. I can't do it. I just Living on a Prayer is annoying. It's just too cliche. Every sports thing plays it. Drunk white people yell it at karaoke. I just can't do it. It's too much. It's too much, man. Our team's losing. Now's the time to blast Living on a Prayer. Okay, I get it. Like, I get it. Real creative. I understand. Like, it's just not for me, man. That music. I don't know what else to say. All right, let's do Callers, there's a couple of you. We're coming to you. 312-900-8815. Let me get through a couple of these chats. We'll see where the phone lines are at. I got some notes I want to go over, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there. Commander, I see where Freeman took his son on a recruiting trip to Michigan. I guess kid wants to be a Wolverine. Unbelievable. And yeah, I saw that too. And he was at the WWE event. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen. As a former wrestler, if you get an opportunity to get recruited by any school, you take it. Yeah, and Michigan's known for having, I think, a good wrestling program. Angela Rudiger, the Rudigers are a wrestling family. They know that coach and that those people personally, and say that even though, you know, it's Michigan themed, they're good people and the guy's a good guy. But yeah, she vouched for him personally. So we're going to have to hold the Rudigers accountable for this. What are your thoughts on the somewhat early blue and gold game? I don't know. It's early. It's early. You got the week it's going to be. Then I believe Easter is the next week. And so you can't really, they're not going to want to do that around the holiday. And so I'm surprised it's that early. When's the portal? There's a portal window here, and I'm wondering if the scheduling on that has to do with that portal window to give you time to make some moves in and out or whatever. I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. Only 66 days until the Always Irish tailgate. Yeah, and the other thing is the earlier you get in April, the more unpredictable the weather usually. Like, you never know what you're going to get, but I'm just figuring since I want to do an event, it'll be bad weather and cold. I don't know. I just figure it will be. Man, it's rough. Oh, boy. C. Jones. Nice to see Anya returning to the team for the 25 season. Will help D-line with some much-needed depth. Yeah. Couple people have referenced this. Did you see former LSU player Greg Brooks almost died from brain cancer? The kid's dad called out LSU and Brian Kelly for not even reaching out. What are you going to do? Reach out to your former players or hit the golf course, bro? The decision's pretty obvious. We're hitting the links and the cell phone's getting turned off. Can't be bothered with that. Jay Carr. Slightly more crazy than the On3 guys listed Dion as the 7th best coach in Florida making the playoff. Yeah, the Florida making the playoff, that would be quite a wild turn of events if that happened. And then here's the deal with Dion, man. Doesn't he have that documentary, like Hard Knocks kind of Prime on Prime? Isn't it on Amazon Prime? And the show's called Prime, so it makes perfect sense on a marketing standpoint. I'm pretty sure he has that show. And here's the way I look at it. The way I look at it is, listen, I think Colorado's getting what they wanted out of this deal, man. That program was sleepy. It was dead. It had no energy. It's in a cool part of the country with a lot of money and like a unique setup. And there was just no energy around the program. And you bring Dion in there with his flair and the ego and how he interacts with the media, his whole aura. And it just kind of ramps up the profile of the whole thing. You got a bunch of people who want to be on the sidelines for the games. It's big drama, big deal every time he does anything, whether they win or lose or in the playoff or not. In that way, you could argue Colorado's getting exactly what they needed and wanted out of this, which is all that action, about that action, boss. So I don't know. April 16 to 25th is that portal window. So I think that probably has something to do with this scheduling, to be able to get through spring without being in or past that window, obviously is a priority. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. And then having Easter that next weekend. So I think that makes sense. Here's another one, you guys. I don't have the answer to this. Just wondering what may be holding up the GM announcement. I have no idea. The last updates I saw were that he was staying at the Morrison and meeting with Freeman and Notre Dame and whatever. And then I haven't really heard anything since. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. Are you hammering out a deal? Has he decided he doesn't want to move to South Bend and you're moving on to something else and nobody knows it? I don't know. I want Blanchard. He's really good at this job. And I have not heard anything. So I don't know what to make of it. But if this drags on a little longer, you're probably going to hear another name pop up. And there's going to have to be a quick pivot. And I just don't know. Yeah, getting the paperwork right at a hockey game. Right, because that went well last time. I don't know what to make of it. But if it's not Blanchard, it's going to be really hard to fill that. Because he's the only guy that's like in the purview that's being talked about. And that has any sort of history or cachet or anybody talking about him whatsoever. You're coming off the Ash hire that has people's anxiety up. If Blanchard doesn't work out after he was identified as the first target and you got to move on to somebody else, that's probably going to be an unfulfilling adventure because I don't know who else would be in people's minds people would react positively to. So I have no idea. Commander, callers, I'm coming to you. Commander says, newsflash, nothing's coming out of the spring QB battle other than one of the guys transfers. I mean, you should be able to establish an appropriate pecking order through spring, shouldn't you? I want an honest and open competition between these guys. I don't think Angeli should walk in there and just be handed number one because he was the backup. Like, I hope this is an open competition between these guys that have all been in the program a while now, put in some time, and they're ready to compete. You're not bringing in a transfer guy, so it's not already a tainted competition, whether it's written or unwritten, that the guy you paid $1 million to come in here is going to get the job. Like, you're not in that scenario. So I don't know, man. And listen, I've been told Minchie loves Notre Dame. I've been told Minchie absolutely loves Notre Dame, and I would not expect him to transfer no matter what happens with that battle. I have no idea. I have no idea how that's going to work out. Angela, my family's very good friends with the head Michigan wrestling coach. I know. And it's like she was texting me last night, like, it's the only way we're okay wearing Michigan stuff is, to get our guys recruited here with this guy. So we won't hold it against you, I guess. Steven, rooting for my Super Bowl boxes. I got to tell you guys, this year has been the least NFL football I've ever watched. It is just not appointment TV for me. It doesn't move the needle for me. It doesn't excite me. I'm all wrapped up in the college stuff. And then the most NFL I watch is I will record every Bears game. And when I'm done with my Notre Dame work in the season on a Sunday, writing my articles, doing my videos, whatever I'm doing, I'll record the Bears game. And then that afternoon or night, I'll watch the Bears game. But that's about it. Like, it isn't the old days where Monday Night Football's must-see TV for John. And I just don't have the football bandwidth anymore for all that stuff beyond the Bears. And again, with the Bears, doesn't move my emotions. I just like seeing what they're doing. Looks like Blanchard's staying. Not good. Not good. That's the guy I wanted. That was the top target. If you double hit the Ash anxiety and then strike out on your number one GM target, nah, I don't like you. No likey. Going in, I don't like that. That's a bad 1-2 combo that I'm not a big fan of. Jay Carp. I have a feeling Blanchard wants an NFL job and doesn't want to make a pit stop in between relocating with his 5 kids. That's actually a really good fair point. The good news is Freeman has 6 kids, so he can tell them how to do it and where to put all these kids and what to do in South Bend, I guess. Or Mishawaka, wherever the hell it is. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be good if you go with Ash and then you strike out on your top GM guy. I don't think that's good. That's not going to make anybody feel good heading into spring because let's be clear, Blanchard is the top target. Blanchard and I are taking a while, and that usually doesn't bode well. I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. Oh, it's going to be interesting. When will the NCAA punish Michigan for cheating? Apparently, that's all going back and forth. And I'm guessing it's going to end up being a slap on the wrist. All this stuff they did and got away with. I don't think the NCAA has the guts to take the championship from them. It's going to be like fines and a reduced scholarship thing or a bowl, maybe a bowl ban at the worst, but I'd be surprised. Maybe even suspend Sharon Moore for a few games. Whoop-de-doo. Like, it's getting... The longer this all drags out, the more the heat comes off the moment, just like any other news event. The longer it's in the news, then it cools off quickly. They're not going to nail them. They're not going to nail them. I would be surprised. I would really, really be surprised. Here we go again. D-Rock. On 3, father of former LSU player Greg Brooks Jr. calls out Kelly amid lawsuit. Where were you? Kelly's looking out for Kelly, man. Always understand that. No matter what he says, the actions have always indicated Kelly's always out to protect Kelly. That's just how he is, man. Whatever school, whatever team he's representing, fine. You need to understand Kelly's always looking out for Kelly first and his handicap second. BVG, whoa, living in Johnny's head. All my ND dreams and hopes are dead. Whoa, living in Johnny's head. And he doesn't like soggy bread. This is what happens when you're in the off season in a dead zone in the calendar. We sing these songs. You know what it is? I've said this before. I have an axe to grind against karaoke and all that stuff. And I just think I'm sick of like every wedding reception or every ball game, and it's just a bunch of drunk white people yelling these songs. It's too much. I just can't handle it, man. I don't do karaoke. I don't like most music. I don't like most music. So the last thing I want to hear is not even the original people yelling the music. That's my theory, right? V1 Rotate, $5 hour. Anytime an online Notre Dame channel talks about the wide receiver room next year, they never mention Cam Williams. Is he not allowed to play? I actually brought that up to Goolsby on the last live show Monday. And he's got to be involved, man. He's got to be involved. You had the 1 year to sit there and get acclimated to college life overall. You had that year to sit there and learn the playbook and the college game and all this stuff. I just understand he had a lot to learn and adjust to college life in Notre Dame. And the playbook was very rudimentary in high school. It was like see ball, catch ball, run, not a lot of technical stuff. And they all wanted him to have a year under his belt with no pressure to just be able to acclimate and learn. And I haven't forgot about him. So you got to get back in there. Always Irish Senior. Good morning. Thanks for being here. You got to get back in there. So I expect him to be, heavily involved. But that's what I understand. People don't like that answer. People don't like that answer, but that's what I've been told every time I ask. Everyone I ask is, he's going to be a good player, but they wanted him to have a year to be able to learn. And there was no like football terminology understanding technically and all this stuff. Homer TD, what's going on, Tony? Commander says Brady Quinn should be the man for the job. Him and Freeman pull up in some $2,500 suits. And listen, here's the thing. Does Brady Quinn want those problems? Callers, I'm coming to you. That's a question I ask myself. All right. He's already on the inner core of Notre Dame-dom on the inside. He has access to all of the NIL stuff, what they want to do, negotiations, things go through him. He's involved in a lot of this allocation with the collective and the NIL stuff. I get all that. But does he want those problems? Like, it's a real question. You want to give up a cushy? I don't see any way. Is it too much for him to do this job and then be on Fox traveling every week doing that? I feel like the GM in Notre Dame is a full-time job. Why would you give that up for the stress of recruiting in college? Like, it's just, I'm honestly asking the question. Brady Quinn would be a good fit. He's already on the inside of all this. He's already on the inside. He knows all the workings. He knows about the money and how this works at Notre Dame. He's a brand name guy. Everybody knows and respects. Everybody's going to answer the call when Brady Quinn's calling your school or your recruit or whatever. Who wants these problems, though? Who wants these problems when you're making the amount of money he's got to be making from that Fox deal and you're on national TV? You're going to give that up to go in an office and recruit for Notre Dame? You got to really love Notre Dame. Like, and maybe he does. Maybe he loves Notre Dame that much. He's willing to do that. But I don't see any way he's able to maintain that national TV gig and be Notre Dame's GM. Why do that? You're going to take a pay cut, make your life more stressful, and be out of the spotlight? It sounds like a bad deal for Brady Quinn. That sounds like a bad deal for Brady Quinn. It feels to me like you're going backwards. Working all the time, frustrating recruiting dynamics, trying to negotiate stuff with people's entourage as opposed to being in a suit on Fox every week. Sounds like a downgrade in life to me. I want him to do it. I'm just saying, why would you give up what he's got going? So I don't know. Maybe that's where they turn if this all doesn't work out. And so I don't know, but it does make me a little nervous when you heard Blanchard was in town and time's going by and I'm not getting any answers. It's just, I get it, man. I totally get it. So I don't know. Yeah, Brady Quinn's a man for the job, but do you want to do it? Phil, $2 special. You spend too much time alone in your basement. Yeah, no kidding. It's the safest place for me to be if you think about it. Like, if you really think about it, it is the safest place to be. We got a couple phone calls. Jump in, 312-900-8815. The phones have not been crazy lately. Again, we're in this in-between spot. And I know a lot of people that reached out and were like, John, I'm taking a break. I'll be back for spring ball. I don't hold it against anybody. You got to do what you got to do to maintain your sanity. Rumor is John is actually trapped in Omar's basement. Where's Omar been? I'm getting worried about my man. I haven't seen the guy. Burke says your defense is going to have question marks because of Ash. I'm going to go over Ash. I have an angle that we talked about on the Monday Night Raw on Patreon. I want to see if you guys agree or don't agree. Let's do these calls, and then I'll go back to my point. 949 and then 630. 949, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. I got nothing other than a lot of times the spring game is centered around Alumni Senate. What they do is they send representatives from all the alumni clubs to campus, and then they cap it off with the spring game.
Interesting. I always wondered how they time that out. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if that portal window has something to do with it. Isn't it fair that
I would bet that both are probably play a big part, and it just made no brainer to do it early.
Yeah. And then I think, if you get into the next week, then you have the holiday and they don't want to mess with that. And then you're getting into that portal window. So I don't know, man. It does seem a little early to me, which is fine. And I guess when you're looking at spring, man, the quarterback thing is the number one story, closely followed by what this defense might look like under Ash. Aren't those the top two storylines to you by far? I can't think of another one that's close.
Other than the basketball team stuck in wind.
Yeah, I'm not counting that on the spring football ledger. But, dude, I am glad I'm not I am glad I am not a big Notre Dame basketball follower. I want them to do well, but it doesn't like ruin my life when they're bad. What is going on with it? I'm not even going to act like I've watched a lot of it, but I get a lot of angry texts from the Notre Dame people. They just can't get anything going, or what?
Well, I'll say this. I'll give Shrewsbury next year, because he's got some big recruits if he can hang on to them. But there's really one great player on the team, and only one player on the team, really. Everybody else is kind of, it's a mess. A lot of guys don't even belong on the floor, and they're playing. There are a couple of tough guys that try hard. They just don't have the talent. And then, of course, his own son has been nicknamed Shootsberry because that's all he does.
Interesting. I don't know. So is it a recruiting thing? Like, are they just struggling to land guys that can get in there and play right away? Or like, are they in between cycles? Like, what is the issue here? I'm not going to act like I know.
Yeah. Well, Mike Bray basically quit on Notre Dame a few years before he decided to take the exit.
Well, now that's very interesting, because I kind of feel like we had a former football coach who did something very similar towards the end of his tenure, looking for an exit. Very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And an AD that just wanted the easy life and stick his head around when there was success with something going on, and the whole lot of them's gone, so things are looking up everywhere.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, we got, it's a transition year last year and this year, but the team. Here's something that, as a sports fan, you can appreciate. Last night at Florida State, they missed 15 layups at the end of the game, missed 7 free throws, and missed 14 3-pointers.
Ooh, that's a lot of. It's a lot of missing.
Yeah, they hit just 2 3-pointers and 1 layup, and that's a victory. They lost by 7.
Man, that's that's going to be a rough one. Let's flip it back to football. Did I ask you yet? Yeah, exactly. Have I asked you yet how you feel about the Ash hire? Where do you fall on this? Is it growing on you? Wait and see, or you're convinced you don't like it, or do you think it's okay? What do you make of it?
Well, I'm not an asshole yet. I'm in the wait and see category. He does have some bona fides behind him. Let's see how it works out. I trust Marcus to do the right thing. He's shown he's had an ability to learn. I like your postulation last week, or last time I called in, where you were talking about, well, maybe they're just bringing him in to groom Mickens.
Yeah.
And if that's true, I love that idea, and I'm fully on board with it. Let's see how it plays out. Hopefully it plays out for the best. I believe we've got the players there that we're going to have a really strong defense next year. And as I said all last season, next year was the one I was banking on, and this previous year was just a bonus.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see. But I think it's pretty clearly the top 2 storylines is, what is this quarterback situation going to look like in spring, and how does this defense look any different under Ash? Do you have an opinion on how you want Notre Dame to approach spring with these quarterbacks? Do you believe Angeli is going in as the default number 1? Should he go in as the default number 1? Or do you want Freeman to get up there and say, we're having an open competition with the in-house guys, everybody's going to get a shot to win this job, the best man wins? Like, what do you think it's going to look like, and what do you think it should look like if those are not the same answer?
I'll reverse the order on that. What I think it should look like is the best man, best man up. Everybody gets a fair and equal shot.
Yeah.
I do think that Angeli will have the angle, but quite frankly, there were some games early last year and then also late in the year where I was strongly in Angeli's corner, and I thought he should have had some more playing time and more opportunities. But, God bless all those kids for hanging in there. Minchie especially. And I'll say this about Minchie. I don't know if you remember when Pete Carroll, the Poodle, was at USC, and Matt Castle was fifth-string quarterback and ended up getting drafted in the NFL. I think the same's going to happen for Minchie. All those kids have some pretty good tools. And, even Tyler was 7 for 7 in passing this year. That's pretty impressive. Or was it 2 for 2, one of the two? Yeah, I know it was a crooked number, but, good for him. And, while he had his struggles while he was here, I'm a big fan of his for not only coming back because he loved the university, but the fact that he got an opportunity in lacrosse. And by the way, John, you and the other listeners, if you get an opportunity to go see the lacrosse team play live, I had never seen the sport live in my lifetime. And I went to the national championships last year, and I was blown away by what you don't see on TV, the physicality of it, just the mental game of what's happening, and then also the constant movement. I think there's more running in lacrosse than there is in soccer, and then also you've got the physical impact. So that was impressive too. But let's get back to football. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that would be it's a sport I don't know that much about. It's interesting when I watch Notre Dame and their title run and all that stuff. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. We're building up to spring, and it's going to be interesting once it gets there. We have a lot of questions we need answers to. Everybody wants to see those quarterbacks and how this situation. I want to see how Freeman's going to navigate this situation. That's like the result is going to be what it's going to be, but I want to know how he's going to set this up. Does he go up there that first interview, media scrum leading into spring and say, I know everybody's going to ask, here's the deal with quarterback. We stayed in-house for a reason. We believe we got a winner here, and we're going to let these guys compete? Or is it like Angeli is the default number one and somebody's going to have to overtake him, but he gets most of the one reps? Like how Freeman sets this up that first day of spring when he's asked about it is going to tell me a lot. And I'm really interested to see what it's going to be. Anything else, my friend?
No, that's pretty much it. Although I do have a question, and that is, when does spring ball actually start? Do you know that?
That's a good question. I would get, isn't it like 3 or 4 weeks before that date, right? Like, that's a really good question.
Yeah, I think they get 21 days of practice. I don't know when the first, if they designated, okay, this is going to be day one.
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's got to come out because the media wants to be there and do their whole, interview thing and whatever that week. I think it's got to be what, 3 weeks before blue and gold, 3.5, 4 maybe. So it'll be interesting to see, but I haven't seen that date, only the blue and gold date. Hey man, thanks for giving me a call, starting us off on a Wednesday.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless everybody, and go Irish.
Oh, go Irish. What a nice guy. Callers, I'm coming to you. Again, a lot of the Notre Dame people are on this. So, John, did you see this LSU player and father interview that almost died of brain cancer? They're saying BK and LSU hasn't even reached out. Yeah, am I supposed to be surprised by that? For the 80th time? I don't know when are people going to understand it? Come on, man. It is Brian Kelly first, everything else in life after that. Andrew Gilmore. Blanchard is not trending towards ND. I say they go in a different direction. I don't like it. You already dropped Ash on people. That isn't a slam dunk home run. Everybody's kind of struggling with that. Then you got this guy clearly identified as the top number one target I haven't even seen another name. That's how much this guy is considered to be the top target that I haven't even so much as seen a second name referenced. And he comes on campus over the weekend and you don't got no news? I don't know. I don't love it. BK's PR lady working OT today. Whatever, man. The putting green calls, man. I don't have time to talk to my former players. I got a bag of balls to hit. Regarding spring, QB, DC, and wide receiver, all the storylines. I'm going to give you my wide receiver take. I do not care what is reported. I do not care that you get one play in that building in spring and it's a 7-second clip of one guy making an athletic catch. I do not care what articles are written by me or anyone else. I do not care what anyone says. I will believe this unit is better when I see it against Miami. I am not believing any hype till I see it on the field against Miami, burning those guys and getting behind them or juking them or moving and grooving, whatever they're doing. I will own this situation has been so bad for so long and pumped up every year that things are going to change so long. I'm not believing any of it. I will believe it only when I see it and not in practice when it matters. So whatever, man. What QB gets sacked the least amount of times wins the job? Probably Kenny Minchie then. Remember when Goolsby got a chance to have a couple drinks with Denbrock? Denbrock was telling him, Minchie's the one with the skill set closest to Jaden Daniels. This was when he first came to Notre Dame, coming off the Jaden Daniels LSU thing. And Goolsby was talking to him. And he said, if you're just looking at traits and skill sets, Kenny Minchie's got the strongest raw arm and is the most mobile of the guys that are going to be in this group. I don't know where that leaves anything. I just always remember that being in my mind. Commander. It would be the stupidest thing Freeman could do is name a starting QB after spring, whether we like it or not. If he names a QB in spring, that is a red flag. The only thing I'll say is, if you have somebody that just plays head and shoulder above everybody else, then that changes things. Like, we're talking about how to parse this out and how to figure out, how to divide up the reps. Everybody gets the opportunity. How are we going to do all this? If somebody just laps everybody, then that solves your problem. And then you don't have to worry about anything. Like, that will solve itself if you have a guy that jumps ahead of everybody else in the pack. So you just got to kind of wait and see. I don't know. Going into fall camp with one guy getting all the first team reps is really beneficial. It is, but you've got to be in the position to have that guy. I think I wrote about this, or I did, and I don't even remember what I did for content on that. I did something. And the whole point was, yes, in an ideal world, you have a number one guy that is your number one guy. And when you're in spring, he gets the bulk of the number one reps working with your offensive line and the skill guys or whatever. And then you go into summer into August with that, and you're ahead, and that's what you want to do. And then one's working with the ones. Obviously, that is the most beneficial path, but you can only do that if you have a clear number one. Right? You can only do that if you have a clear number one. And if you don't have a clear number one, you have an obligation to be as fair as you can to the group and divide out the reps and see who plays the best. It can't be we're going to have an equal competition, but Angeli gets all of the reps with the ones and then everybody else gets the twos and the threes. And then we're like, here's an equal competition. No. We got somebody defending Kelly's honor here. Not a BK fan at all. but LSU legal department is definitely prohibiting him from calling the kid, I guarantee. Kelly just getting dragged for the sake of being dragged. I don't understand why, if he's got cancer, are they saying LSU caused it? What is the legal liability in Brian Kelly checking to see if one of his guys are okay or something? I don't understand what I'm missing there. What would be the legal liability in Brian Kelly checking on a former player who has cancer? Because he's being sued, right? But but what about before? What's he being sued for? What are they being sued for? Did they do something wrong managing this guy's care or what? I'm just asking. I don't know. SPF. Angeli is the starter, unfortunately, was really rooting for Minchie or Carr. I'm going to have a problem if this is like this. We need to come on, Jay Carr. You know how it's going to go. It's all going to get spun, and they're going to go, nobody likes BK, so they're taking shots, and it really isn't fair, whatever. That's what they're going to say. If Angeli is default the starter here, I'm going to have a big problem. No offense to Angeli, but I don't think he's done enough to earn that. Looking decent in the little time he's played, I don't think that's enough for me to go, that's it. It's not a real competition. He gets all the 1 reps. I would have a real problem with that. You're not going with an outside guy that taints the well with all the $1 million money, and you know it's going to be Hartman and Leonard. You don't have that. Now you have an opportunity to run an honest-to-God competition here. Do it. Do it. I understand it's most beneficial for a clear number 1 guy to get all those reps with the ones. I get that. You're just not in that position. You are not in that position as Notre Dame right now. Sorry, you're just not there as a program. You don't have that luxury. That is a luxury, and you're not there. It's a luxury, and you're not there. 630, what's going on?
Yo, John, it's Burke. How are you, man?
What's going on, man? It's just an interesting time in the college football calendar, man. Like you're in between here, and you're waiting for some action here in spring. First thing I got to ask you is, what are your thoughts on this Michigan stuff? I saw the notice of allegations, and they're pushing back on everything. What do you think this is ultimately going to be? I think it's just going to be a slap on the wrist and maybe a suspension for Sharon, and we all move forward and you guys get away with it. They're not going to take that title. Come on.
Yeah, no, so that's why I called in to give my prediction. So like all week I basically was researching while calling in, Michigan podcasts. Like I know I call into about 4 a week, I would say, and just to talk about what their opinions are. And I'll tell you this right now. We're going to get the biggest fine in terms of money, right? So I'm talking 1 million in between to 10 million fine Michigan's going to give. So it's going to be the biggest fine. And we're going to get scholarship losses, lots of scholarship losses, man. I'm talking 15 to 20 a year for maybe 3 years. And I want to say that vacating could happen, but it's really unlikely. The reason why is Michigan is doing all it can to not to vacate. And my boy, Eric Boggs, right, from the OHL podcast, he said, he actually makes a good point. He's actually in the chat. But he said that Michigan and NCAA are going to go to war. And I feel that's what's going to be, I feel like they're going to take this to court and one of them is going to die. I'm starting to feel like that. And what's most likely who's going to die is probably the NCAA. I feel like Michigan, man, they and then there's that evidence, John, where it's the players didn't know, right? With the Ohio State tattoo scandal and Notre Dame academic scandal, right? With the players, having the teachers, right? They had to vacate those wins. Well, Michigan's going to be well, the players did not know about this cheating scandal. The coaches did. So how could you vacate the stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. Man, if it's I mean, I'm not a Michigan guy, obviously, but to me, aren't you kind of willing to do whatever it takes? short of vacating the title, right? Like you got the ultimate win. So it's like, if you want to find me, find me. Nobody's personally paying it. Like Michigan's got the money. And then the scholarship thing would suck. But if you're not getting like a postseason playoff ban or getting things vacated, I feel like that's a big win for Michigan. You get to keep your championship. And isn't that the number one priority?
Yeah, that is. And I don't think they're going to vacate the title, the NCAA. Now, I do know some Ohio State fans, right? There's this guy, my guy Mello. He has his own show called Buckeye Boys. He did a bet with one of my Michigan guys, Dave Mays Madman. He feels that the NCAA, right? This is typical Ohio State stuff. They like to do this stuff, but he feels like, oh, just because the NCAA was not going to vacate doesn't mean the college football playoff is going to vacate. It's really weird, man. We're going to have to wait this out. And I'm just really disappointed with my team, honestly, that this is what it's gone to. You know, my Michigan, like I'm a huge Michigan fan, and it just really pisses me off that, like, I feel the whole Michigan man stuff is all bullshit. You know, that we have integrity and all this stuff. It's been Connor Stallion. I don't know why the F, okay, John, why the hell Connor Stallion, still my fan base praises Connor Stallion. They're not taking this shit seriously. I'm like so damn pissed. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah,
like,
I think
just don't take this.
I think you're a rarity. I think you're a rarity in your honesty of being frustrated with your own program for getting involved with some of this stuff. I really do feel like you're in the rare minority of people looking at it that way. So that's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Do you have any comments on where Notre Dame's at here, entering spring?
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts about how they might want to navigate that quarterback situation? I'm interested from the outside, since you're not a Notre Dame person, how you look at where the program's at right now.
Yeah, no. So I think with the offense, man, the Notre Dame offense, I think their receivers are going to be much better this year. I feel like offense, Love is back. Offensive line is pretty good. It's going to be really good. And even like some guys literally like went to the transfer portal, like Pat Coogan and the Rocco Spindler, right? So your offensive line is going to be great. Your running back's going to be amazing. Love is coming back, Heisman favorite. And the receivers, man, this Malachi Field guy, he's going to be actually, I think he's going to be a receiver one maybe. And Great House is going to, I think, take a step in phase in. Now, the defensive, I think QB2, I think Angeli should be great. I think he's the starter, I feel. Now, your defense, man, your defense, man, I think your D-line, man, is there's going to be some question marks there. I know you did get that 5-star guy, I think, Bryce Young. I think I think he'll be good. But like I said, the Ash hire, man, I do not like the Ash hire. I give it a D. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not the person who wants Notre Dame to be good, right? Like, I don't want Notre Dame to be bad. I just do not like the Ash hire. I feel like Notre Dame rushed that hire, and I don't know what to say. Like, they should have maybe waited. Because I've seen Chris Ash, I've seen him, and he has he was good in the beginning, way before, like in 2014 but I don't know, dude. You're gonna have to wait it out. He's gonna make or break Notre Dame season.
Yeah, it is gonna be interesting. And I don't know what to think about it. But I have a different theory I'm gonna go over in a couple minutes of a way to look at the Ash hiring to maybe find some more comfort in it if you're on the Notre Dame side. And so it's going to be interesting, man. We're going to see what happens. And it's just going to be a long summer. I'm not looking forward to it, man. We're going to get through spring ball, and it's just going to be a long grind all the way to Miami for Notre Dame. It's going to be interesting. Anything else, man? Thanks for the call.
Yeah, man. All I have to say is I think your expectations for Notre Dame for your fan base is just, playoffs or, it's just not playoffs. I don't see a championship. It's just not fair. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the semifinal or championship because Marcus Freeman, what he did in his third year, going to a championship, it took Jim Harbaugh till his last year, literally. And it had controversy. So I think you guys are in a good place with Marcus Freeman. I think just he needs to improve on the recruiting a bit, but yeah
I agree with that. I agree with that. Hey, I really appreciate you jumping in. I got to tell you, for a Michigan guy, pretty balanced, fair Notre Dame takes, man. Thank you for your contribution. Appreciate you.
Yeah, take care, man.
Have a good one. It is really quite bizarre. for a Michigan guy, that's about as normal, like as fair and good balanced of a call as you're going to get, man. It's just a little weird to me. Mark's with me. Burks is winning us over so he can kill us while we're sleeping. Let's not forget he's a Michigan guy and let your guard down. Yeah, like that's exactly what I'm saying too. The guy is a little too dialed in and right on things, I feel like. So I don't know. Ryan says, someone needs to put a pink slip in Angeli's locker. Dude is loyal, though. I'll give him that. Listen, I like how loyal all these guys have been to Notre Dame. I like how they're waiting their turn and sticking around. And I just think the fairest thing is, even though it would be easier to have a clear number one that gets the one reps and that's the easiest, best path, I don't think you're there. And I think you just need to have an open competition. I do. I just think that's what you're going to need to do. Have an open, fair competition and see who wins it. And if you have a guy head and shoulders like above and ahead of the other guys when you get into August, then that's really going to help. And if you don't, then August is going to be really, really intense. But if it runs out to that point and you don't know, you've only got a couple weeks to figure it out. That's the problem. If you run that into August camp and you don't have a clear answer, you can only do that for like a week or two of practice. And then you got to get your ones together and then you go to Miami. So you're going to have to be able to figure this out. And listen, it's not ideal, but that's just where you're at. I'm sorry. That's just where this is all at this point. Let me get to this Ash hire real quick. Then we'll go back to the phones. This came up on the Patreon Monday Night Raw live that we did with Goolsby Monday night. And a few different people in the chat brought this up. Corey says, if Angeli is starter, I could see Notre Dame going 9-3. Listen, here's my thought on it. Angeli could beat probably 9 or 10 of the teams on the schedule. I am not sure he's physically gifted enough to beat the other couple. That's my honest to God opinion. He'll be perfectly fine to beat the back end of this, a bad ACC schedule or whatever. He can win 9 or 10 games. The problem is I need a quarterback that can win those other couple. And I just don't know if he's physically gifted enough to be able to provide that. Maybe I'm selling him short. I don't know. I think the guy definitely they all deserve a fair shot at this. And I've seen some good stuff out of Angeli, but I've seen some stuff. He doesn't seem that mobile. He does not have a great feel for the pocket. He gets nailed from behind every single time he's in, even in minimal duty. Even in minimal duty, there's always one play where he's getting blindsided and doesn't feel it, and you're waiting for the ball to come out. Like, he's not that mobile. So, like, where does that leave you? I think he could beat 9 or 10 teams on the schedule as is, just on all the dynamics. But I need those other 2 to 3 games. So I don't know, man. He ain't that fast. Do you realize where Notre Dame's offense would have been without a quarterback that could move? You really think about Leonard's legs and what that did for Notre Dame. If you don't have that, man, good luck. Let's get back to the Ash thing. A couple people brought this up in the live chat. What do you think of this angle? Tell me. I get the questions on the Ash resume. I get the red flags and all the bouncing around he does, and that makes people nervous. My Patreon partner, your former captain, Mike Goolsby, always says, if you can't coach, you scout. That's what he always says, John. If a guy can't coach, then you become a scout. And this guy's a scout, okay? I get all that. But maybe we're looking at it wrong. Look at it this way. If you look at this as an experienced, more mature bridge for 1 or 2 years to the Mickens full-time DC era, does that change anything for you? It feels like Freeman wasn't quite ready, fully handing it all over to Mickens, but that's the ultimate plan they agreed on. So if you look at it as a 1 or 2 year period of a guy who's very experienced, very well thought of from coaches like Urban Meyer and whatever else, been around a lot of football, both good football and bad football, championship football at Ohio State, 8-37 or whatever over at Rutgers. Like, he's seen the good and the bad. And if he could build a solid bridge to Mickens taking over this role full time, does that change the way you're looking at this? Does that change the way you're looking at this? Tex ND says, even though Freeman said on multiple occasions Mickens ready to be a DC, Freeman said multiple times that it was an open competition at quarterback the last 2 years when I knew it wasn't. Like, these coaches, you can't believe what they say at the podium. They're just saying what they need to say to get in and out of that situation, man. I had to hear that it was an open competition when everybody knew Hartman was going to start no matter what. Like, whatever. He's going to say good things about his guys. He's going to say good things about his guys. But it doesn't appear that Mickens got an offer to be a Power 5 DC on his own, or maybe he would have taken it, or maybe he did and we didn't hear about it, and Freeman upped the money and got him to stay. But I feel like Mickens staying and his part of all this may be the main point here, not Chris Ash. Right? Like, I just feel like if Mickens is the overall plan here and Ash ties a bridge together to get us to that, and we like all that, maybe that should be the takeaway. You know, people were telling me, John, this is not meant to be a long-term thing. This is meant to be a Band-Aid thing to build a bridge to Mickens. If you look at it that way, is it a lot more palatable to you, whatever they're doing? I don't know, maybe. Freeman must have felt like Mickens needed a bit more experience before fully taking over. And Mickens apparently is okay with that plan and is on board with that, or I think he'd be somewhere else right now. I think he'd be somewhere else right now. And so I don't know. If you look at it that way, and a lot of people reached out to me and said, John, I feel like a lot of Notre Dame people are getting this wrong. You need to look at this as a short-term experienced bridge to the Mickens defensive coordinator era at Notre Dame, and he wants to be here and he wants it to do that here. I don't know. Anders says, we'll see about Mickens. He could still go to the NFL. If Mickens goes to the NFL, my openness to the Ash thing changes significantly. It just does. It just does. I'm excited about the idea of building a bridge to Mickens. But if he leaves and then it's just Ash out on an island, I don't love that. I don't love that. And so I don't know. Slip Mahoney says, the staff have seen these QBs on a daily basis for several reasons. Now, my guess is they have their starter, barring external forces like injuries. They may, well, this is interesting, Slip. This is interesting. They may think they know like what they have, but don't you still have an obligation in fairness to the guys in this room to have an open competition? Even if you think you know what you want to do, I don't think anybody in this group has proven enough that they're the default starter at this job. Nobody could argue to me you've seen enough out of Angeli that he has earned to be the default number one by spring. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Whatever experience you want to talk about him having over the other guys, it's still minimal. A lot of mop-up duty. I will give him credit for like jumping in the playoff at a key moment. I want to give him full credit for delivering in that moment, in the heat of the moment. But outside of that, you have some mop-up duty snaps and then the full start against, what was it? The Beavers, when everybody transferred out of their program because the coach went to Michigan State before they played Notre Dame. So I don't know, man. I don't know. What's going on, Pat?
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, what's going on?
You're making me call in on a Wednesday. Look, two things. First of all, the BK thing. I just learned about that this morning. I don't know what's true. It's probably, the legal team is probably telling him he cannot reach out to the family at this point.
Yeah.
But prior to the lawsuit, if with the family, and I'm not pushing a narrative, I'm just reading, because SBF was saying I was pushing a narrative. I am just reading what the family is putting out into the media. And of course, LSU's not going to respond to that because of being sued. But what they're saying does not surprise me. Like, it's not a narrative. We know from 12 years of experience with Brian Kelly that if you're no use to him, he's not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
We know he didn't talk to he recruited, and we know from alumni of the university, of the football program, that he didn't take much relationship with them after they were out of the university.
It's true.
So it's not a surprise to me that this is the story on BK. I'm not pushing a narrative. I'm just taking my 12 years experience, listening to what's in the news and saying, boy, that makes sense. That sounds like something Brian Kelly would do because it's something other people have said he has done. All right. Screw Brian Kelly. I don't care about it. The Angeli thing.
Yeah.
Look, here's my thing about it, John. I agree with you. There has not been enough, any of us in this chat or on any podcast or any media person has seen to say that Angeli is the number one quarterback. But if spring ball starts and Marcus Freeman does his first press conference and says, Steve Angeli is taking number one snaps, I would not be surprised by that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would not be surprised by that. Why? Because they see him in practice every day. And they clearly saw enough from him in practice to be confident for him to be the number two quarterback and then to put him in when the team is losing in the Orange Bowl against Penn State to get a drive, to get them points, to give them a chance to stay in the game. And he did it. Okay? And so I think as a fan base, we should really rethink our position. Everybody loves Steve Angeli when we beat Penn State. And now that the season's over, everyone hates Angeli again because they think he's slow. You know what? The kid has shown me he's got the balls. He showed me he loves Notre Dame by staying here just as much as everyone else in this chat, in this universe loves Notre Dame. He's clearly in it for more than just for playing time. He's in it because he loves the university. And so I think everyone just needs to take a break, take a step back, and give this kid the opportunity he has earned by sticking with this program. And if he is the number one quarterback, we should support him because I have full faith in this coaching staff at this point, with everything I've seen from Marcus Freeman and his coaches, that they are going to make what is the best decision for this program. And so if they say Steve Angeli is the best decision for this program, I have faith in that. If they say it's Carr or it's Minchie, I have faith in that. I have faith that they're going to make the right decision. I am not going to sit there and second guess what this guy has done, what decision this guy's going to make about the starting quarterback next year after everything that this program's gone through and what he has shown this year.
Yeah, where does that leave the other guys? Or is that just not something you can worry about? Remember all of the big deal was to get Lloyd Carr's grandson to come to Notre Dame, and it's going to be Carr, hand the keys over to the car. And then is there any, or is it just, this is the way it goes? And if you're going to transfer, you're going to transfer. We got to do what we got to do.
At some point, it has to be that way. Look, Freeman said that his goal was never to have four scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. It's to have 3 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. So at some point, somebody's going to leave. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we have to, we need to sit there and say, oh, we have to start Carr, even though we think Angeli is our best chance because Carr has more potential. No, we start the player that gives us the best chance to win. And sure, Mark Holzman, coaches can get it wrong. Absolutely. They do it all the time. But I have faith in this coaching staff not to get it wrong. So I'm not concerned about that. And the other comment, Joshua Finn. Okay, a valued skill set and potential compared to the rest of the room. Are you watching practices? The snippets that we see in mop-up duty and the one bowl game he played, that is not a fair evaluation of the kid. I have no idea how much he's moving around in practice. I have no idea what his pocket presence is like. You put a kid into the Penn State game where they got the best defensive end in the country. He's probably going to be the first defensive end off the board. Our tackles, until our offensive line was showing that they couldn't block anybody for the first half of that Penn State game until Jagasol goes in the game and changed the dynamic of it. You can't just say, oh, he's a stature and he stands there. He does. That guy, he was getting the ball and he was getting it out. Okay? He was getting the ball and he was getting it out. And no, Mark Holzman, the past 4 QBs have not been wrong. I think Riley Leonard did a fantastic job. Was he the best quarterback? No. Was he the best quarterback to win at that time? Yes. You have to look at it differently. Was Sam Hartman the best quarterback? No. Was he probably the best quarterback that Notre Dame had on the roster at that time to try to win? Yes. So they're not getting it wrong. They just didn't have the right talent in the locker room. And I do think there's a difference now with this program. They have faith in the locker room they built. They just brought in another great player. And yeah, Cohn wasn't wrong. Like we're just, people are just saying shit right now to say shit because they think it makes them sound smart. But in reality, you're just showing your ignorance of the situation. You have a coaching staff that just took Notre Dame team that was riddled with injuries to a national championship game, was getting blown out of the game, fought their way back in it by sheer will and determination to almost try to make it a game. And then we're going to sit here and second guess everything they say? Are you effing kidding me? People grow the F up.
Let me ask you this. I like the energy on a Wednesday in the offseason, Pat. Let me ask you this. Should the beginning part of this schedule impact this quarterback the way the staff thinks about it at all, knowing that you don't have Central Michigan week 1, but it's at Miami and then A&M's the second game 2 weeks later? Should that be in this staff's mind when they're evaluating this dynamic, or should that not matter at all? And that doesn't matter. You're going with the best guy. Or do you think they're going to have to calculate who could get us through that moment in Miami with all that pressure and all the loud Miami people and everything else? Should that matter at all in the calculation?
No, I mean, I think in the calculation is who's the best guys. I think that's the only calculation you have. If Angeli, you believe, gives you the best chance to win, what does the schedule matter? If Carr gives you the best chance to win, even though he's a true sophomore, what does the schedule matter? I don't think that schedule matters. And yeah, Riley Leonard admitted he couldn't throw the ball past 15 yards, except for those beautiful bombs he threw at different points throughout the season. But he also, led you to a 13-2 season. 13-2 season. So yeah, you can't say he wasn't the best guy to do it. There's another comment I wanted to get. Oh, SPF. Riley Leonard was not a 5th-year veteran QB. He was a 4th-year QB who missed most of his playing time due to injury. This is the first time he actually played a full season of football. So he wasn't an injured QB, and this was his 4th year playing college football.
Man, Pat, you got it all covered today. Anything else on your mind, buddy?
No, that's it. I can't believe I got fired up over this, but Pat, you're calling me ignorant because of my opinion. My eyes are in good shape. Your eyes are only seeing game film of limited snippets, Sly Fox. It's very limited. What is the kid doing in practice? Decisions aren't made based on what they're doing in the game. Coaches make the decisions based on what they do in practice. That's where it comes into play. So unless you're sitting there evaluating practice every day, you're just talking to yourself.
I like this.
Mark, I would agree. I do think Mark Holzman, I agree. I do think that if Riley Leonard was a pure passer like Steve Angeli is, if you could have actually made those two people one, I think Notre Dame goes undefeated and beats Ohio State easily. Personally, That's my belief. That's not what Notre Dame had.
Yeah, it's man, this is going to be interesting, and it's going to be the storyline of spring. Every single completion or incompletion is going to be talked about. Like, this is going to be the story, and then the Ash thing too. Anything else, man? I just like how fired up you are in this little down in between time we got. I like it.
No, Phil Haig just said it best. This is hard to believe, but the coaches are better evaluators than all of us. So against Sly Fox, you could say, "Oh, he's slow and he's a statue back there." You know what? There's a reason that the coaching staff is putting him in when Riley Leonard goes down in the Orange Bowl and not anyone else.
Yeah, it's man, this is going to be. It's never a lack of drama or news in Notre Dame land. Pat, thanks for giving me a call on a Wednesday. Thanks, buddy.
Right.
See you. I'm just I don't know what's gotten into Pat today, man. A little fired up here on the I just didn't expect it. There isn't that much going on. He all fired up. Texas Mac. Is an open competition really open when the coaches have a preconceived idea who the starter is going to be? I think it depends on the opportunity allocation. To me, like a truly open competition doesn't mean one guy gets to play with all the ones on offense and all the other guys get to play with the 2s and the 3 offensive line and skill guys. That's not fully open to me. If the other guys are playing with the 2s and the 3s and are expected to look better than the guy playing with all the 1s. But I also understand there isn't all the 1 reps in the world that go around to make everybody happy. I get that too. It's complicated. It's just complicated. Look at this. BK liked how John went after him. He secretly liked having a rival. No, he did not. I can verify that personally. No, he did not. Somebody in the building that I know overheard him saying some disparaging things about your boy here. It made my life complete when one of my contacts said, "You won't believe, but I was walking through and I heard you taking some shots from old BK about some of your takes." Just to know I'm in that guy's head and he's aware of me is like a dream come true. Daniel, any recommendations on sinus meds? It's turning me into a mouth breather at night. Advil, cold, and sinus is one of the only things that works for me. The only issue is I think people were taking Advil, cold, and sinus and then making heavier drugs out of it. So you can't even go buy it off the rack at like CVS or Walgreens. You got to wait behind 98 senior citizens at the actual pharmacy and get it. And it's really an inconvenience. You used to be able to just walk up there and grab it off the rack and buy it. Too many people mixed it to make Walter White concoctions or whatever. And now you got to wait in line before 48 people in line at the old pharmacy there and catch every other disease in your town by standing in its stupid line. Flonase, people are saying you could do that too. You could do that too. Andrew, the best thing Angeli has going for him is the front-loaded schedule. If Carr isn't, Head and Shoulders better. It's easy for the coach then to go with the experience. Angeli, a cool customer. Concern, though, about the wide receivers. If they can't get open and you're losing Leonard's running ability, then you're in trouble. I've thought about that too. Then you're in trouble. And I'm not trusting the wide receiver situation until I'm proven I could trust the wide receiver situation. Angeli and Minchie got a real shot start against Purdue, but they weren't good in practice per Priester. Carr's job, if he's healthy, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. Root for chaos. Thanks, Breaking Bad. Say my name. Root for chaos. Start Hebert. There you go. $2 holler. I like that. I like that from the dong, so to speak. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Oh, man. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for the show today. I got stuff to do. I got to write a couple articles, record a couple more videos, pack up my stuff, try and hit the road. Hope there's no ice storm. I just got a lot going on. And so now's the time to do this stuff when you're in between and there isn't a ton of news. We'll see what happens with the GM stuff. And we'll see what that looks like. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Again, I apologize on the kind of a shorter show today. Just got too much stuff to do, but I wanted to make sure we got in here and talk about stuff. We'll be back Friday, and we'll see if we have any resolution on the GM stuff. I got my art set on Blanchard. I got to go down to Bloomington, Pat. Long, complicated story, but I got to go down to Bloomington and then come back up. And I got stuff I got to do. So I gotta get down there. But yeah, we'll get at it Friday. Yeah, the State Farm headquarters, of course. I can, fun little college town, Bloomington. Did have a legal issue. The last time I went out drinking in Bloomington, I did have a legal issue, and it was not ideal. I blame my brother for that, but I did have a negative interaction with the local police department, and it did not go well. I did not get arrested, but I did have a problem, and it was not good for me, and there were consequences. But that's a story for another day. Didn't get arrested, but very bad interaction with the local law enforcement. Was my fault, by the way. Totally own up to it. Was my fault. That's a story for another day. We'll leave you hanging on the edge there. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the chats. I love you guys. We'll be back on Friday. Sorry for the quick show.